A farewell game for number 29 for the Flower, Marc-Andre Fleury. It's the Penguins and the Wild. Let's get down to business and talk Penguins and Wild on this very special 1 hour edition of Penguins Postgame, Penguins and Wild. I am Scott McGregor, and this is Penguins Postgame. Let's go. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, showcase scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. What's up, Penguins Nation? What's up, my Flurry fans of Marc-Andre Fleury? What is up with our Wild fans who are also Flurry fans, some of the Flurry fans for the Minnesota Wild? Welcome to this 1 hour special edition of Penguins Postgame. My name is Scott McGregor. I am the host of Penguins Postgame, which you can find on the Ice and Behind the Benches, as well as here on Sports for Beginners. On the Ice and Behind the Benches, you can find it on Wednesdays. Every off day, the Penguins have an off day during the regular season. You'll be able to find recaps like this on Penguins Postgame on every Wednesday, only on the Ice and Behind the Benches. Every off day, the Penguins have a Wednesday, no game on a Wednesday. This game was at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 12 midnight in the UK, 1 a.m. in France, and of course, 4 p.m. Pacific. And it featured the Pittsburgh Penguins and Mike Sullivan against John Hynes and the Minnesota Wild. Among the Minnesota Wild, it was a very emotional night for number 29. As he's in his farewell season, he's now making his final start in areas like Pittsburgh, where he played for a long while. It's been one hell of a career for Marc-Andre Fleury. Starting in Pittsburgh, going to Vegas, going to Chicago, and then on his way to Minnesota, where he played in what would be likely his final game in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night, just the other night. We're coming to you with this recap on the day of Ducks versus Penguins, and we want to wish everybody a happy Halloween, because we are coming to you, recording this, ahead of the Penguins' Halloween matchup between the Anaheim Ducks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Let's get into the starting goaltenders now that we've, off the top, talked about our head coaches in John Hynes and Mike Sullivan. And for this game, starting for the Pittsburgh Penguins would be the rookie goaltender Joel Blomqvist, backed up by number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic. And that would be Pittsburgh's starting goaltenders. John Hynes, meanwhile, would start the Flower, number 29, Marc-Andre Fleury, with Philip Gustafson, number 32, backing him up. So when we go between the pipes, our goaltending matchup for this special farewell Tuesday night matchup between the Minnesota Wild and the Pittsburgh Penguins is number 29, Marc-Andre Fleury, also known as the Flower, against the rookie goaltender for the Penguins, Joel Blomqvist. All right, everybody. A lot to get into. Goals, penalties. Before we get to our first break of the program of this 1 hour special, I just want to take this time now to let you guys know how we're going to run this. And this is also going to be how we're going to run Penguins postgame for the remainder of the season. So first and foremost, we are going to run it with going over the scorers and the assists in the next segment coming up. We are also going to then go into who was penalized in this game. And we are also going to provide you with the 3 stars of the game, the game pucks of the game as an abbreviation of what they would call on the Penguins radio network, the save of the game, and we're also going to give you our main feature, the shake of the game, all in good time and time permitting, because before we get to setting up Ducks versus Penguins and the Wild's next 5 games as well, we are going to talk a little bit about Marc-Andre Fleury. So now would be a perfect opportunity, even though the game has come and gone, now would be a perfect opportunity to send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231 at gmail.com with your favorite Marc-Andre Fleury moment, if you're a Penguins fan, during his tenure as a Penguin, as a member of the Penguin, your favorite moment of Marc-Andre Fleury battling as a Pittsburgh Penguin in his tenure. With that being said, we will take a quick timeout. When we come back, what happened at PPG Paints Arena? We'll break it all down for you when we return to Penguins postgame. This is the 1 hour Marc-Andre Fleury special of Penguins postgame, as Marc-Andre Fleury on Tuesday night saluted the fans for the final time. And if that wasn't great enough, he even was gifted, he was gifted the opportunity to be the game's first star. We'll talk about it all in the next few minutes. Let's take a break. When we come back, who scored in this game? Who came up on assist? Plus, if we get time, we're going to go into who was penalized in this game. And of course, our game stats going to follow during the 3 stars segment. With that all being said, let's get to a break and we'll be right back.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
In his farewell game as a member of the Minnesota Wild, and his farewell game in Pittsburgh, likely his farewell game in Pittsburgh, we remember the good times we had with Marc-Andre Fleury. Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Welcome back, everybody, to the Penguins postgame show. We've covered quite a bit of hockey for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 2024-2025 season. And we're going to continue to cover Penguins hockey. Coming up, the Penguins will be playing the Anaheim Ducks on Halloween night, which is tonight. But on Tuesday night, it was Flurry night in the Burgh, as the Penguins played in game number 11 of their 82-game season, which leaves us right now with, when you look at the 82-game season, this leaves us now with only 71 games left in the season. Still a lot of hockey to be played. All right. Let's get down to business, shall we? I think we shall. Let's get down to business, shall we? I think we shall. All right. So with everything under control here, we'll start with the period by period penalties to kick things off, and then I'll go to the scoring, to those who scored. Let's start with the penalties to kick things off. So first of all, we'll go to the first period. And in this game, the penalties came courtesy of Minnesota's John Mirel, number 4. He receives a penalty for cross-checking 7 minutes and 24 seconds in. Marco Rossi, number 23 of the Minnesota Wild, receives a 2-minute minor for high sticking. This would be a penalty that the Penguins would score on after they went to the power play and got the first power play of the evening. Later in the period, the Minnesota Wild go to the power play as Lars Eller takes the only penalty for Pittsburgh in the first period. This one at 19 minutes and 12 seconds. It is 2 minutes for roughing. Ugh. That's not a good penalty to take. Speaking of not good penalties to take, Brock Farber and Jack St. Ivany in the second period take penalties, 5 minutes each for fighting at 10 minutes and 39 seconds. Also, at that point in time, Michael Bunting has to serve Jack St. Ivany's 2-minute for roughing call as the Wild would go to a power play around that time. In the third period, Penguins dropping 3 penalties in this one in the third period. The first to Anthony Buvarelli. To Anthony Buvarelli. That's right, it's Anthony Buvarelli. 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 9 minutes, 38 seconds. Kevin Hayes takes one for tripping as well a few moments later. This one for tripping at 11 minutes and 13 seconds. And Lars Eller penalized once again, his second time. In the penalty box in this game. This one goes 2 minutes for delay of game. Is that an unsuccessful challenge, I wonder? Not exactly. It was delay of game. That's what we called it. Delay of game. Okay. So it's a delay of game penalty. All in all, the Penguins have the only penalties in the third period of this game. They took 2. Well, actually, Jack St. Ivany took 2. One that Michael Bunting had to serve, and one that Brock Farber, I'll just say Brock F. Sorry about that, Brock, if I pronounced your last name wrong. He had to take a 5-minute major for fighting with Jack St. Ivany. Jack St. Ivany was also called for roughing, and Michael Bunting would serve that penalty. On to the scoring we go. And we're going to have the NHL app open just in case we messed some stuff up there. But now we're on to the scorers. And Pittsburgh, what do? They jump ahead early in this game. As we want to say, for his first goal of the season and first goal on the power play this year. Congratulations, number 48, Valtteri Puustinen. His first goal of the season gives Pittsburgh a 1-0 lead. Matt Grzelcyk in on the assist, number 5 on the year for Matt Grzelcyk. Sidney Crosby, the captain of the Penguins, 7th assist of the season, and one of many he had in this game on Tuesday night. Time of the goal to give Pittsburgh a 1-0 lead. 11 minutes, 36 seconds in. Penguins go up by 2 very quickly as Rickard Rakell gets his first goal of the game, but 5th of the season. This one on the assist is Chris Letang, his 2nd assist of the season. Sidney Crosby's 2nd assist of the night, 8th of the season. Time of the goal, 15 minutes, 31 seconds. 31 seconds. All right. Penguins up 2-0 right out of the jump. Yeah, don't think you're going to get away with that quickly. JL, his 2nd goal of the season as a Wild. He scores to get the Wild on the board. Jakob, I'll just say JL. Yeah, JL, just to make sure. And MK is on the assist, his second of the season. Just like that, after the second of the season from JL, second goal of the season for him, and the second assist of the season for MK. That's again his second assist of the season. Minnesota's on the board. It's a 1-goal lead for Pittsburgh at just about 17 minutes and 3 seconds into the first period. A few seconds later, Frederick Gaudreau picks up the game-tying goal, unassisted, at 17 minutes and 58 seconds. So before the first 20 minutes are in the book, we're all tied up at, you guessed it, we're all tied up at 2. Wild 2, Penguins 2, after 40 minutes. To the second period we go. And in that period, it was a wild period, as the Penguins take a penalty, so do the Wild. But the Minnesota Wild grab the lead. Frederick Gaudreau tied it up. Might as well get him the lead, and he does, with his second goal of the season. Second of the night as well. His first goal was unassisted, and that's what tied the game up. On the assist, Kirill Kaprizov, his 12th of the season, 12th assist of the season. And Brock F., his 4th assist of the season. And so far, only assist of the game. Kirill Kaprizov picks up his second assist of the night on the Matt Zuccarello goal, which is Matt Zuccarello's 5th goal of the season. Kirill Kaprizov's second assist of the night, 13th of the season. And number 23, Marco Rossi, number 5 of the season for him in assist. And just like that, the Penguins down at the end of 40 minutes by 2. They were leading by 2 before we even got tied up before the end of 20. Now, after 2 periods, the Penguins down by 2. And in the third final minute, in the third period, the third 20 minutes of play, it comes down to this. Penguins need 2 to score, 3 to win. Well, unfortunately, they get unlucky they do get lucky to get 1. Rickard Rakell scores his second goal of the season. Second goal of the game. 6th of the season. And Sidney Crosby picks up the hat trick in assists with his 3rd assist of the season. 3rd assist of the game. 9th of the season. Marcus Pettersson picks up his 5th assist of the season. Time of the goal. No, I have that right. Never mind. I want to make sure I have that right. There we go. 3 minutes and 36 seconds. That was the time of the goal. Later in the period, Penguins down by 1. Not a lot of time left. But if they can get it in with Joel Bloomquist pulled. We go to overtime. But it's Kirill Kaprizov putting the puck in the net, in the empty net, for his 5th goal of the season. And Frederick Gaudreau picking up his first assist of the season and only assist of the game, with this man, Jake Middleton, picking up his only assist of the game but 5th of the season at 19 minutes and 41 seconds. Minnesota goes on to win 5-3 against Pittsburgh. So we kind of put the penalties and the scoring all in one, but we did rotate. Yeah, kind of. Regardless, that'll do it for the game breakdown. The game stats are coming up in a little bit. But before we take the break, let's get down to our 3 stars of the game. And if you listen to the Penguins Radio Network, they are brought to you by, in sponsors, they are brought to you by your neighborhood Pittsburgh Ford stores. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Once again, we are not sponsored by anybody as of late, or as of yet, but if we were, and if we were sponsored by Ford, the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We, however, are not sponsored by that company, and not really sponsored by anybody right now. So here we go with our 3rd star. With that out of the way, just a quick notice there. Our 3rd star in Tuesday night's game, number 67, Ricard Raquel. 2 goals in the game. No assists, 2 points. Our 2nd star, number 89, Frederick Gaudreau. 2 goals in the game, an assist for 3 points. And it's a much needed, and a much well-deserved 1st star of the game. Your 1st star of the game is number 29. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for number 29, Marc-Andre Fleury. It's the flower. Marc-Andre Fleury is your 1st star of this hockey game in a 5-3 win for the Wild on a farewell night for Marc-Andre Fleury. So it's Marc-Andre Fleury, Frederick Gaudreau, and Ricard Raquel who have the 3 stars. My play of the game will be coming up in a little bit, and so will the game pucks of the game and the shake of the game. But no time to lose here. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, the play of the game stats, and we're also going to get into the shake of the game. And time permitting, we will get into what we are calling our abbreviation of the save of the game, which we call game puck of the game. We're going to call it the game puck of the game to make sure we get it all right. Anyways, you are going to get that coming up after the game stats and the shake of the game, one of our main features. At the top of the hour, of course, by the time you're listening to this, we will set up Ducks and Penguins for you. So make sure you tune in to that. And as I've said already earlier today and earlier in this recording, we want to wish everyone a very happy Halloween and hope everyone is having a great holiday on Halloween. We'll have a Halloween themed. Of course, I won't really use any theme music, but we'll have some Halloween features coming up for you on this edition of Penguins Postgame, following the Ducks and the Penguins. But more on that a little bit later. Right now, we're going to take a break. And while we do that, you are listening to Pittsburgh Penguins Hockey on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Part of Penguins Wednesday Hockey, I should say. Every Wednesday off day this season, only on the ice and behind the benches. We'll be right back after this.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
And we welcome everyone back to Penguins Postgame. Time now for the play of the game. We're going to do all of this without an introduction. So no 3-star introduction of what we just went over. And of course, no shake of the game introduction is going to happen on the rest of this season. But we will try to do those some point next season, maybe around the end of this season. We don't know yet. But anyways, rolling along here, it is time for the play of the game. The shake of the game is coming up next. Before we get to the play of the game, however, let's jump into our game stat. Thomas, we thank Thomas so much for providing us with the shots on goal per period. And for this one, Minnesota outshot Pittsburgh 40-29. In case you missed it, our shot totals after each period: 16 for the Wild after the first period, 9 for the Penguins after the first period, 11 for the Penguins in the second period after the second period, 10 for the Wild in the second period. Those are the shots on goal for the first two periods. 10 shots on goal in the second period for Minnesota. 11 shots on goal for Pittsburgh. For Pittsburgh in the first, just a reminder, there were 9 shots on goal. And for Minnesota, 16 shots on goal. 14 shots on goal for Minnesota in the third. 9 shots on goal for Pittsburgh in the third as well. Leading us to our tally of 40-29 in favor of the Minnesota Wild. In a game that saw 60 face-offs, Pittsburgh won 35 out of 60, winning 58.3% of their face-off. Minnesota winning 25 of 60 face-offs to win 41.7% of their face-off. The Penguins' penalty kill was on a tear on Tuesday night. A perfect 5 for 5, killing off every penalty the Wild charged to them. Every penalty that the Penguins got against them. They killed off all 5 of the penalties. Minnesota's power play, 0 for 5. Their penalty kill, however, 1 for 2. Pittsburgh's power play, 1 for 2. The Penguins spent 15 minutes in the penalty box. Minnesota, only 9 minutes in the penalty box for this game. Both teams finished with 15 hits each. 16 blocked shots for Minnesota. 11 blocked shots for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gave the puck to Minnesota for giveaways, to be more specific, 17 times. Minnesota gave the puck away to Pittsburgh 13 times. Pittsburgh only took the puck away from Minnesota 3 times. And Minnesota took the puck away from Pittsburgh 4 times. Game stats in the books. Time now for the play of the game. I know I've said that already, but we wanted to get into the game stats quickly before we got there. So now it is time for the play of the game. My play of the game is going to go to... You know what? It's going to go to Frederick Gaudreau. It's going to go to Frederick Gaudreau. It's going to be his second goal of the game, second goal of the season, which not only gave Minnesota the lead, but they quickly built on that one and made it a 2-goal lead a few moments later. I should say a couple moments later. Because that 4th goal didn't come until 19 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. Well, actually, in this case, it didn't come till late second period. And that came off the stick of Matt Zuccarello. So it's going to go to Frederick Gaudreau. Nice little pass here by Brock Farber and Kirill Kaprizov to give Frederick Gaudreau his second goal of the night. All right, with that all being said, play of the game in the books. Let's go down now to our shake of the game. And this is inspired to be our player of the game segment. Inspired by the milkshake ad, formerly known with Jake Gensel. Jake Shakes. When Jake Gensel was a Pittsburgh Penguin, they were half off any time Jake scored. Speaking of Jake scoring, he did score last night in his contest that he was playing. That is not against the Pittsburgh Penguins, because the Penguins played on Tuesday night, which is the game we're talking about. But anyways, hack off Rusty Shake is what we're going with right now on the Milkshake Factory. That's Brian Rust. But Brian Rust is out of commission right now. He is injured. To be more specific, I don't have all the details on it. But with that all being said, let's just roll right along. Our first shake of the game is coming on the Minnesota side, and that is going to go to number 29, Marc-Andre Fleury. If you would like to get in on the shake of the game and game puck of the game, head on over to the Discord server for Pittsburgh Penguins, which is Penguins Post-Game Show Interactions, and start telling us who you think should be part of the 3 stars. If you're not happy with how things transpired in the 3-star selection. You can also do that for the play of the game, the shake of the game, and of course, our game puck of the game as well. Marc-Andre Fleury for me is the Minnesota Wild shake of the game. The game puck of the game for them, it's going to belong to none other than Frederick Gaudreau. The stats speak for themselves. For Pittsburgh, our shake of the game is going to go to Rickard Rakell. And the game puck of the game, which will be a pick-me-up, is going to go to goaltender Joel Blomqvist. Stats kind of speak for themselves. But there you have it. The game puck and the shake of the game all in one segment. Perfect. All right, we're almost at the end of the program here. But like I had been saying, this is a 1-hour special. So now that most of this game has been pretty much taken care of, we are going to get into some thought on the career of Marc-Andre Fleury, who had played with Pittsburgh for quite a while, since 2003, 2004. Wow, I was only 3 years old when Marc-Andre Fleury started playing hockey in the NHL. Wow. Isn't it funny how time goes by so fastly, and you never know where a player like Fleury is going to end up in by the time he finishes his career. Fleury played with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, he was also injured. He played with the Penguins until the 2016-2017 season, where he played 38 games in the regular season and he started only 34 of those contests with a win-loss record of 18-10, and okay, I've lost it. Okay, I've lost Fleury there. Okay. With all that being said, though, Marc-Andre Fleury, 18 wins, 10 losses, not too shabby for a flower. Not too shabby for the flower in Marc-Andre Fleury. But he looked really good. He looked really good for his tenure, playing so many different seasons with Pittsburgh. And I don't necessarily have a favorite moment, but if you have a favorite moment for Marc-Andre Fleury, let us know right now. I wish I had the rights to do this. But I don't. So we're not going to. But Marc-Andre Fleury, at the end of the game on Tuesday, or probably before the game between the Penguins and the Wild, he got one last gift before Minnesota and Marc-Andre Fleury left Pittsburgh for good. Any guesses on what it was? Guess what? He got to cut the net. He got to cut a net of TPG Paints Arena and take the netting home with him. and his kids had a wild time, I believe. Marc-Andre Fleury has now played in 4 seasons with Minnesota. He played in 1 season with Chicago. Played in 4 seasons with the Vegas Golden Knights, including the inaugural season for the Golden Knights. Started his career with Pittsburgh. And my goodness me, how much time flies. And a couple of things to note here, while he was a Penguin, he led the Penguins to a Stanley Cup championship in 2009 and 08, and in 2008 and 2009, in the 2009-2008 season. And, of course, in 2015-2016 and 2016-2017, he led the Penguins to back-to-back Stanley Cup championships to account for the 3 Stanley Cup championships he won as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Alrighty. In 2020 and 2021, in the 2021 and 2020 season, I should say, he also won a Vezina Trophy and a William M. Jennings Trophy. And a couple of other key notes for Marc-Andre Fleury. He was named QMJHL Second All-Star Team in 2003. Made his debut in the NHL All-Star Game in 2011. Went back there in 2015, 2018, and played his final All-Star Game in 2019. He had also been named in 2021. He was named Second All-Star Team to the NHL's Second All-Star Team. He got claimed by Vegas from the Pittsburgh Penguins in the expansion draft, June 21st, 2017. He was traded to Chicago by Vegas for Michael H. on July 27th, 2021, and then traded to Minnesota by Chicago for a 2nd-round pick in the 2022 NHL Draft on March 21st, 2022. So those were some notes and transactions. For Marc-Andre Fleury's career, he has 563 wins, 75 shutouts, a goals against average of .260, and a save percentage of .912 in 1,028 games played in the NHL. For this season, he has now played in only 3 games and won twice. In the games, no shutouts to speak of for Marc-Andre Fleury, but his goals against average is also a bit higher than his career, .293, and his save percentage a bit lower, .899, I should say. Marc-Andre Fleury was born in Sorel, Quebec, Canada, and is a left-handed catcher for goaltending, and was drafted in 2003 by Pittsburgh, 1st overall in the 1st round. He is 6'2" and weighs 185 pounds and was born on November 28th. Yes, November 28th, 1994. Got to check that out. I lost it again. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. 1984, excuse me. On November 28th, 1984. Wow. What a time it's been for Marc-Andre Fleury, playing in the NHL from 2003 until it looks like now 2004, 2024, excuse me, as a Canadian ice hockey goaltender, playing in 4 seasons right now with Minnesota. Had quite a career as a Pittsburgh Penguin. Played with the Golden Knights for 4 years. With Chicago for 1 year. Not much more we can say about Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury is actually now 39 years old. And come 2025, next November, come 2024, this November, he will turn 40 years old. And I think at that point in time, that is probably going to be it for Marc-Andre Fleury. So this is probably his last season playing in the National Hockey League. Now, what's next for Marc-Andre Fleury remains to be determined. But boy did Pittsburgh come out despite a loss, despite Marc-Andre Fleury and the one and only Minnesota Wild beating Pittsburgh 5-3 once again our final. Boy oh boy. Did the fans in Pittsburgh ever give him an ovation when he first jumped onto the ice one last time? Marc-Andre Fleury and the Fleury family, the family of Marc-Andre Fleury, especially your wife and your kids. If you guys are listening to this right now, this show is for you. And this is why I wanted to do a 1-hour program. And I didn't get to see you play very much, Marc-Andre Fleury, but watching you hockey nights on Pittsburgh or wherever the team you are going to be, whenever I had a chance to watch you play on TV, it had been an absolute honor to check you guys out and watch you do what you do. You had made so many immeasurable and unbelievable stops that I could not even name one. You have been such an inspiration to Pittsburgh and the greatest hockey fans around the team of Pittsburgh and the Penguins organization as well. You led the team to 3 Stanley Cups. 2 were in back-to-back seasons, 2015-16 and 16-17. And my goodness me, you were part of quite a dynasty that you've built in Pittsburgh. Do the best that you can the rest of this season and just be proud with how long your career has gone on for. Marc-Andre Fleury, as we near the end of this episode of Penguins Postgame, with what's next for the Wild and what's next for the Penguins, for the Fleury family, for the Pittsburgh Penguins, for Penguins Nation, and all the Fleury fans of Marc-Andre Fleury, from his Pittsburgh tenure to his Vegas tenure to his Chicago tenure to the Minnesota Wild tenure that's going on right now. If you have any favorite moments, please send me an email now at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. All right, with that all being said, what's next for this podcast? What's next for the Penguins? What's next for the Wild? It all is coming up when this 1 hour special, Pittsburgh versus Minnesota, wraps up. We'll give you the officials, the attendance record on the farewell Fleury night, and we will let you know when they'll do battle again this season. We will give you the attendance record, and I will set you guys up for Penguins Ducks. That's all coming up when Penguins postgame returns. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Catch us up with Dolphins postgame. Thomas has you covered. We are a bit behind, but week 7 of the Miami Dolphins 2024 NFL season has just dropped into your favorite podcatcher on Sports for Beginners on Spotify or wherever you can listen to podcasts. It should be available up on the YouTube channel eventually. So please stay tuned for that. I got the notice from my friend and host of the program, Thomas McGregor. Thomas is the host of the program. Speaking of which, and speaking of updates from Thomas, he will have you covered for last week's win or loss with the Dolphins and the Cardinals. We will see how that went down. And speaking of the Dolphins, it's Dolphins week as we prepare to get ready for the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. And on another note, one more other note before we get into it, the remainder of this program, as we are into the next 5 for Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Do you like lifestyle? Great conversations? Had a chance to check out Kelly McDonald and Ramya Amathan on Kelly and Ramya? Well, I've got some good news for you. Kelly and Company is back on the air. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Kelly and Company is back. Wait, what? Kelly and Company is back? Weren't they just Kelly and Rumia? Yes, they were. Maybe I gotta get Kelly on so we can figure out what was going on there. Maybe I gotta get Kelly McDonald on so we can find out what was going on about there. But it is now available on AMI Audio, on wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, welcome Kelly and Company to YouTube. Wait, what? Now it's on YouTube? That's correct. That's what I said. We're getting off a topic here. It is time to set up what's next for Pittsburgh, for the Pittsburgh Penguins, that is, and what is next for the Minnesota Wild. So, up next for the Pittsburgh Penguins. What's next? Where do the Penguins go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, Pittsburgh? Well, I'll tell you where we're going. Tonight, we're sticking right around here in Pittsburgh as we go head to head with the Anaheim Ducks. Following the Anaheim Ducks, the Montreal Canadiens will be in town for a Saturday night showdown on a hockey night in Canada. You can watch it on Sportsnet East and City TV as well. And locally in Pittsburgh, you can listen to the game on WXDX FM Pittsburgh, an iHeart radio station, also known as 1059 DX. And of course, you can watch the game on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. All right. With that being said, check your local listenings for ways you can check out this game, and make sure you're able to check it out when you can. Otherwise, follow it live scoring wise. Up next, a couple of road games for the next 5 as of this time. It's Anaheim tonight, Montreal Saturday night, the Islanders on Tuesday night, the 5th of November, and on next Thursday night, it's the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins once again. Then the Penguins will play the next night on Friday night, the Washington Capitals. So, just to recap, the next 5 as of tonight's game. Well, first of all, the next 5 as of the end of Tuesday night's game. Anaheim tonight on Halloween night, coming up in just a few hours' time. And Montreal on Saturday night. At the Islanders Tuesday night. At Carolina Thursday. Off to the nation's capital of the United States on Friday night. And then on Veterans Day, or Remembrance Day, or whatever you want to call it, it's time. It is time. Yes, I say it is time. It is indeed time for, yes, indeed time for Remembrance Day, and it is time for the Pittsburgh Penguins to go head-to-head with the Dallas Stars on Monday, November 11th, 2024. All right. For the next 5 prior to that game, Anaheim tonight, Montreal Saturday, the Islanders on next Tuesday night, and next Thursday, Carolina hosts Pittsburgh, and Washington hosts Pittsburgh on Friday night, the following night. For the Minnesota Wild and the one and only Marc-Andre Fleury, the man of conversation for this show, as well, his team was also the conversation as well, but regardless. Meanwhile, for the Wild, they are done for the month of October. So their next 5 start tomorrow when they'll play host of the Tampa Bay Lightning on November the 1st, 2024. They'll play host of the Maple Leafs on Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. They'll play host of the Kings on Tuesday, November 5th. Next Thursday, they'll play in the Shark Tank against none other, and I say none other, than the San Jose Sharks. And last but certainly not least, they'll play at the Anaheim Ducks on Friday night. Along with that, they'll play following Tampa Bay, Chicago on Sunday, following the back-to-back Thursday and Friday night games for the Minnesota Wild. So both the Wild and the Penguins in action Thursday and Friday night, next Thursday and next Friday night. This Friday night, the Wild are the only team in action. But the Penguins, meanwhile, are in action tonight on Thursday night. They'll go head-to-head. They'll go head-to-head with the Anaheim Ducks. As we wrap up here on the program for this 1-hour special, our officials for this game on Tuesday night, where the Minnesota Wild defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-3. Our officials for this game: Kyle R., Furman South, Julien Frenier, and Devin Berg. Devin Berg and Julien Frenier were your linesmen. Furman South and Kyle R., your referees. Were the referees for the game. Scratched for this game, Ryan Hartman and Declan Chisholm for Minnesota. Brian Rust out of the game, and so is Ryan Shea. I hear Blake Lizido might make his debut tonight in Pittsburgh. We'll have to wait and see. But as for right now, as we wrap up this program, it's now about an hour and 4 minutes in as we are wrapping up here. Tuesday night's attendance record at PPG Paints Arena, the site of this game, where the Penguins gifted Marc-Andre Fleury a win, and the Wild beat the Penguins 5-3. It was in front of an attendance record of 18,195 fans in attendance. Your 3 stars once again: Frederic Goudreau, 2nd star; 3rd star, Ricard Raquel; and number 1 star, Marc-Andre Fleury. Alrighty. With that all being said, that is it for this one. Thank you so much for listening / watching the show. Be sure to leave a comment down below if you enjoy what you're hearing. Leave us a review if you feel we've earned it. Send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. If you have any questions for On the Ice and Behind the Benches, send us an email with Ask Behind Benches as the subject to sportsforbeginners.podcast8231@gmail.com with the subject Ask Behind Benches. And remember to cheer loud and proud, Penguins fans, for your Pittsburgh Penguins. Win or lose, we say loud and proud, let's go Pens. It's the Penguins and the Ducks coming up tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern from the site of Tuesday night's game that we recapped today on Halloween night. PPG Paints Arena. It's the Ducks and the Pens coming up on Penguins postgame next time. Until then, I am Scott McGregor, and this has been Penguins postgame. Penguins and Ducks next time on Penguins postgame. See you after the game. Enjoy the hockey game, everybody. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Thank you so much for checking in to Penguins postgame this season, Penguins fans. Your host of the Sports for Beginners podcast, Scott McGregor, here. I just wanted to let you guys know that it brings me great joy to bring you a show like the one we brought you last year, and it brings me even more joy with everything that has come out of it as well, as we try to navigate through quite a year with milestone after milestone in the month of October and the month of September. As mentioned, again, my name is Scott McGregor, but if you have any questions, any concerns, any content you want aired on the program, please send me an email at sportsforbeginners8231@gmail.com. Once again, that's sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast and for listening to this episode of Penguins Postgame. We will see you next time right here on Sports for Beginners. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.